The movie begins with a security guard nervously using his bare hands to unscrew the screws from a vent. He became frightened when he heard someone banging on a blocked door. He eventually opened the vent and crawled inside. Upon exiting the vents, he hastily left the room, unaware of the looming shadow resembling a large bear. As he attempted to open the door, he heard a mysterious humming sound behind him. Something approached from behind, causing the guard to scream in terror. He was then fastened to a chair, and his agonizing screams were the last sounds heard as a mechanical bear mask was placed on him, leading to his demise. A male police officer named Mike Schmidt was treating himself to an ice cream when he noticed a lone boy. Concerned, Mike kept a close eye on the boy. When a man approached the child and led him away, Mike suspected foul play, thinking the man was a kidnapper. He sprinted after them and tackled the man into a fountain, subjecting him to a beating. Mike's colleague intervened, pulling him away from the man. It was only then that Mike realized the man was the boy's father. Following this incident, Mike sought assistance from a career advisor named Steve Ragland, but he was turned down due to Mike's history of getting fired for insubordination and other reasons. However, upon reading Mike's full name, Steve seemed to have a realization and offered him a job as a night guard at an abandoned restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Initially, Mike declined the offer as he couldn't work night shifts because of his younger sister, Abby. Nevertheless, Steve handed Mike his business card, just in case he changed his mind. Mike returned home, and the babysitter, Max, left when he arrived. Mike checked on Abby in her room and found her drawing again. When he asked about the drawing, Abby answered that the characters in her drawing are her friends. Mike then went to his room to sleep. As he slept, Mike dreamt about what happened years ago. Mike witnessed his younger brother, Garrett, get kidnapped by an unknown man. The young Mike ran after the car, and later on, a grown-up Mike was seen screaming his brother's name as he watched the car disappear from his sight. The next day, Mike met up with Dr. Lillian and his scheming aunt, Jane, who was planning on taking custody of Abby just so she could receive child support checks. After Jane left, Dr. Lillian assured Mike that Abby would prefer to be with him instead of his aunt, and advised him to find a new job immediately to avoid getting Abby taken away from him. Mike called Steve Ragland and took the job the latter offered him. On his first night of work, Mike was in control and was sleeping, dreaming of his brother's disappearance once again. But in this dream, Mike turned to see 5 children standing still and staring at him. He asked the children if they saw the man who took his brother, but the children didn't answer. Instead, they suddenly ran off, and Mike chased after the blonde boy only to trip and get abruptly woken up. The next day, Jane was talking to Max and her brother Jeff. Max had been spying on Mike to find anything they could use against him so Jane could get Abby, but she never found anything useful, and Jeff suggested trashing Mike's workplace so the latter could lose his job. On Mike's second night of work, Mike was sleeping and dreaming again. This time, Mike was chasing another child when said child attacked him with a hook, making a cut on his arm. When Mike looked back at the child, the latter suddenly screamed with black ink coming out of his eyes. Mike woke up to the electricity acting up, and he went to the power generator, not noticing the writings on the mirror and Foxy, one of the animatronic mascots, standing by the open door. After the electricity was fixed, the diner was visited by a female cop named Vanessa Shelley, who had been visiting the diner from time to time. Vanessa pointed out the cut on Mike's arm and helped him patch up the wound. Vanessa mentions that security hires at Freddy's never last, because besides the low pay, there was big news about kids at Freddy's going missing in the 80 seconds, which is why the place was shut down. After Mike's shift the next day, Jeff and his friends infiltrated the place and trashed everything. Carl was in the kitchen where he was murdered by the animatronic mascots, Cheek of the Chicken and Mr. Cupcake. Hank saw what was happening and ran away, going into a storage room where Bonnie the rabbit killed him. Jeff, who saw Hank running away through the CCTV camera, went to check what was happening and tried to escape as soon as he saw Bonnie. His demise was inevitable, as he got cornered by Foxy the pirate. Max, who was the group's designated driver, had been waiting outside for a while and decided to look for Jeff and his friends. Inside the diner, she saw a kid and followed him into the room where the mascots were created. A curious Max approached the mascot Golden Freddy when suddenly a hand reached out from Golden Freddy's mouth and pulled Max, killing her. Vanessa went to Mike's house to tell him that someone had broken in at Freddy's and showed him the sleeping pills he left in the control room. Mike told Vanessa that he had been taking sleeping pills so he could keep dreaming about what happened to Garrett, wanting to see the face of the man who took his brother. Mike knew that he had seen the man's face, but those memories were already buried deep inside, and he's been trying to remember him by dreaming. On his third night of work, Mike brought Abby to Freddy's with him because he couldn't contact Max. Abby set up a port while Mike did his job. After cleaning the whole place, Mike took a sleeping pill and dreamt of the blonde boy. He asked the blonde boy what he knew, promising to give him what he wanted. Mike looked away for a second when he heard a girl scream, and when he looked back, the boy was gone, and there was a drawing of a mascot on the ground. Mike woke up and realized that Abby wasn't in the port anymore. He heard Abby screaming, and when he ran to get her, he found her playing with the moving mascots. Mike was spooked when he realized that the mascots were moving on their own, but didn't do anything that might push the mascots to attack them. Before they left, Abby handed Bonnie her drawing of a heart and hugged Golden Freddy. That Abby had drawn children that had similarities with the mascots. He then saw a drawing of when Garrett got taken, and when he asked Abby about it, she answered that the blonde boy told her about it. On his fourth night of work, Mike brought Abby again with him, and they saw Vanessa's police car. Abby mentioned that her friends told her Vanessa was nice before she went inside, greeting Vanessa and approaching her animatronic friends. Mike learned that Vanessa had already known that a group of children had possessed the mascots. Abby suggested making a large port that would fit all of them, and with the help of the mascots, they did just as she suggested. Mike and Vanessa left Abby with the mascots to get a roof for their port, and Mike asked Vanessa what else she knew about the diner. Instead of answering, Vanessa asked Mike why he brought Abby with him again, even after knowing that the mascots were alive. Mike explained that he felt like the children possessing the mascots knew who took Garrett, and when he's at Freddy's, his dreams feel more vivid, and he feels like he can change what really happened to Garrett. As they were talking, Vanessa saw and she tried to stop her from touching Bonnie's guitar. But it was too late, as the guitar suddenly exploded, rendering Abby unconscious. Once Abby regained consciousness again, Vanessa threatened Mike to never bring Abby back to the diner again, or she would shoot him. The next day, Mike got Jane to babysit Abby while he went to work, where he dreamt again. Things were different in that dream. He saw his family with Garrett, and the blonde boy told him that he can dream about this happy moment every night, just as long as he gives Abby to them. Mike mindlessly agreed, but when he caressed Garrett's face, he realized his mistake and decided to take it back. But when he turned, everything was gone. Suddenly the children came running towards him, attacking him. When he woke up, he was strapped to a chair, and a mechanical mask was about to be put on his face. He escaped from the chair and backed away, only to find Max's head and the others' dead bodies. Mike tried to escape, but he heard humming from behind him and screamed in fear. He lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he realized that he had been taken to a police outpost by Vanessa, who found him badly injured and unconscious in the diner. Mike learned that it wasn't only the children's ghosts that were inside the mascots, but also their bodies. Those children were killed by a man who could somehow manipulate the ghost children, who couldn't remember anything that happened to them. Vanessa showed Mike a picture of a yellow rabbit and a little girl, revealing that the yellow rabbit, the murderer, is William Afton, and he is her father. Meanwhile, Golden Freddy went to Mike's house and killed Jane to get Abby, who willingly came with him because she trusted him. Mike came and sneaked inside the diner to save Abby, and he saw that she was being led somewhere. Unnoticed by Golden, Freddy, and Bonnie, Mike poured water on the stage and tasered the water, causing the two mascots to malfunction. Mike ran after Chica and Abby and tasered Chica. The siblings ran, but Mike's leg was caught by Mr. Cupcake. So Mike told Abby to run away while he fought against Mr. Cupcake. While Mike was fighting off Mr. Cupcake, Abby was being hunted down by Foxy. Abby was hiding under the ball pool when Foxy was electrified by Vanessa, bringing him down. Mike, on the other hand, had successfully electrified Mr. Cupcake and went to follow Abby only to be met by the Yellow Rabbit. Unmatched by the Yellow Rabbit's strength, Mike was knocked down. Yellow Rabbit approached Mike with a knife ready to kill him, but Vanessa came and stopped him from doing so. The Yellow Rabbit took off his mask, revealing Steve Ragland, who turned out to be William Afton. While Vanessa was confronting her father, Mike woke up and instructed Abby to draw a picture depicting what really happened to the ghost children, aiming to help them identify the true villain. Abby followed his instructions, and when William noticed her, he released Vanessa and attempted to reach Abby. However, Vanessa intervened again, determined to protect Abby from her deranged father, but she ended up getting stabbed. Meanwhile, Mike rushed to the control room to fix the electricity. When Abby finished her drawing, the light focused on the paper. In the drawing, the ghost children saw an image of the Yellow Rabbit harming other children, only to realize that those children were themselves. This revelation led the ghost children to turn against William. They took control of William's animatronic suit and watched him suffer. As Abby, Mike, and Vanessa fled the restaurant, the ghost children dragged the tormented William away. Following these events, Vanessa was hospitalized and remained unconscious. Dr. Lillian observed Abby's increased enthusiasm and commended Mike. Abby expressed her concern for the ghost children, who were now left without anyone to care for them. Meanwhile, William was depicted whimpering in pain within a room at the diner. He weakly reached out to a blonde boy who was watching him from the doorway. Without saying a word, the blonde boy slowly closed the door. In the epilogue scene, a cab driver was resting in his cab when he heard the passenger door open. He requested the passenger to exit the car, assuming his work was done. However, when he received no response, he turned to the passenger seat and let out a scream upon seeing the balloon boy.